万门大学的小伙伴们，大家好，我是蓝斐利博士，是莱特研究大学的应用神经科学的教授。我们今天要听巴布老师讲第6个亲密互动的规则，就是争取而不是争斗。巴布老师指导老师在如何正确吵架，让我们意识到有的时候吵架是最有效的沟通方式，而且可以对我们的生活很大的帮助。我们先快速的听巴布老师讲第6个亲密互动的规则。
I'm Dr. Bob Wright, Professor of Transformational Leadership at the Wright Graduate University for the Realization of Human Potential. Now we are talking about episode 6 in The Heart of the Fight, Rules of Engagement. We started out talking about accentuate the positive, minimize the negative, which sets the foundation for being able to resolve conflict. Then we talked about no one gets more than 50% of the blame. Everyone gets 100% responsibility. And after that, we had tell the truth and agree with the truth always. Now, we're coming up with the rule that took a long time to recognize. Fight for, not against. One of the things that I've seen over the years is couples complain about each other. You did this, you did this, you did this, you did that, you don't do that, bum, 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 bum. Notice, they are not saying, I want this, I want that, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that. So I had already been training couples before I married Judith. And when we got married, I set a basic agreement. I said, sweetheart, I want you to know that I want you to have whatever it is you want, and I want you to be able to go for it fully. But I may resist you each step of the way. But I was setting the game that we are each going to be wanting things from each other, and that will cause us to learn and grow together. It was also a way that I was setting a basic context for my own happiness, my own satisfaction, which was not the primary way that Judith thought about it. One of the fun examples of fighting for, not against, is that I am very good at taking out the trash. And I would complain to Judith that she was not pulling the trash bag out, that I would throw it out once it was 2/3 full. And I got tired of cleaning things off the ground when I tried to pull the trash bags out of the trash. So one day I said to her, I just want you to know that I am never going to clean up coffee grounds and banana peels again. But I will put coffee beans, grounds, and banana peels where you would least like to find them, when you would least like to find them. That was the last time I ever had to deal with overflowing trash. But Judith came back and said, well, I am not going to tolerate ever having your clothes hanging on the end of the bed ever again. Or you will find them where you don't want to find them. And one time I did actually find my clothes where I did not want to find them. So we learned to fight for and not against. Judith has fought our entire relationship for me to have greater empathy and understanding with others. And that's been a pretty basic challenge for both of us. One of the most fun ones for me was that Judith used to be late. As a matter of fact, the first time I met her family, we were sitting in the car going to dinner. There's no Judith. 5 minutes pass. I'm going, what's going on here? We weren't married yet. 10 minutes pass. They say, well, that's Judith. And about 10, 15 minutes later, after we've all been sitting waiting, she comes and gets in the car. She will not be rushed. She is pretty stubborn that way. But so am I. So, I got tired of being late going places and driving very fast so that I would get there on time. So I told her that the next time that we went to church, that I was going to leave at X period of time. And if she wasn't ready, she would have to drive our other car. It was a 45-minute drive. Well, sure enough, I went to church alone that day. And that was the last time I ever went to church alone, because Judith got more and more on time. And one of our biggest fights for, rather than against, came in a seminar where Judith has had a little trouble expecting more of me. I was the firstborn grandson on my mother's side of the family. And I have a pretty good ability to expect things. But we were fighting at a seminar once about eating and how we were going to eat. And I was grabbing food and Judith was saying, no, we're going to sit down. And all the women on the seminar started pulling things off of my plate, backing Judith up. And finally, I told the truth. Remember, the last one she talked about was tell the truth always. I said, I feel humiliated. She said, good. That's how I feel around you all the time. Boom. The fight was over. Because there are things that I would say that would embarrass her in public that I would never have tolerated from her. She began fighting more and more for me to treat her with more and more respect when we were in public. One of the big ones was that I have a tendency to appreciate attractive women. And she fought for me to not look away in an embarrassing way when I'm with her. She won that one because it was respectful to really pay attention to her. But there are so many things that happen when we learn to fight for and not against. But we have to first of all understand it's not about winning arguments. We've already said nobody gets more than 50% of the blame. Everybody gets 100% responsibility. Arguments don't go anywhere. It's a difference of opinion and perspective. And oftentimes, it's totally valid that the argument is valid on both sides. Judith and I frequently will be starting to get into it, and somebody else will say, well, I see both of your points. Okay, we've got it. So setting that basic agreement that we're each going to go for what we want is critical for this. And I'd like to tell you the story about a woman who's a nurse. And she actually has her doctorate in nursing now, but it was a long time ago. And her husband was boring. He didn't talk to her. They had been high school sweethearts and she was deeply in love with him, but she hated being around him. And she tried to get him to talk, tried to get him to talk. Finally, she said, I'm going to divorce you. I'm going to get an apartment and I'm never going to have your child. That got his attention. So he started learning how to recognize his emotions and started learning how to talk. She didn't take the apartment. They got together. And today, the daughter she said she was never going to have with him is 3 years out of college. They're deeply in love. They have earned their doctoral degrees together. And they are a blessing to their community and each other. But it starts when you learn to fight for, not against. not to argue. Remember the drama triangle. None of those is fighting for. We talked about the victim, the persecutor, and the rescuer. None of those fights for anything. None of those takes responsibility. But we all do need to remember the self-fulfilling prophecy. We have limiting beliefs that keep us from fighting for things. We complain instead. The action, the belief, I'm not going to get what I want, so I act and complain. That causes the other person to believe they shouldn't want to please me because I'm just a complainer. So they act in a way to not please me, and my belief that I'm never going to be happy is satisfied. Changing ourselves is the name of the game, and couples are the best way to do that.